gang of roustabouts are cutting up cinema like it's never been cut up before. There's going to be reviews. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be hijinks. And there's going to be a whole lot of cutting in this room. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. Coming at you 128 kilobytes per second.
You're listening to the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Detloff. This is episode 91. We're slowly approaching 100 episodes. Joe Christiana.
Centennial.
Oh, my God.
100 times.
It's
Remember when it was like 16
Yeah.
and it seemed like torture?
I remember episode 3 with Max Cook.
That's right.
That's when things began to change.
Do you think Max is starting to fit into the show
I
a
think
little
he's
now?
finding his way. He's definitely finding his way. I didn't know if Max, Joe,
He's starting to feel comfortable, to like, express himself. He's still a newbie, but
Joe, you were worried that Max wasn't going to stick with us after we left Horror Palace.
I was.
Yeah, you were like, yeah, that's
well, Max
you're
is
like,
the horror guy.
Tom, he loves horror. He's not going to want to do this. We're going to lose him. I'm like, nah, Max, he's a trooper. He's going to stick with us. He's still here.
Well, that's why I assigned him a horror film tonight.
He's on the show tonight. I got Joe Christiana, Max Cook, and the counselor, Adam Shoulder. What's up, Adam?
How's it going, Tom?
I am very well, thank you. We're back again doing the photographic image. Last week we did the Salt of the Earth, as you already know. This week we're going back a little bit in time. We're going back to the 60s, which is going to be a lot of fun, I must say. We're doing Peeping Tom from 1960 and the legendary film Blow Up from 1966. Joe,
I cannot wait to hear what happens with Blow Up.
It's all about the photographic image, Joe.
That's right. The Blow Up is. Well, we'll get to it, man. It's just one of those films I have. I have a feeling I'm gonna get it from time to you guys.
In a couple minutes, Max is gonna introduce Peeping Tom. I'm excited to hear what he has to say. It is a horror film, so let's. It's Joe. It's definitely gonna be interesting, but it's an older horror film.
Right. I've given up trying to gauge what Max's impression is.
Right. Well, this is his month, Joe. I mean, we have his Halloween show coming up next week. It starts next week.
It's such a good month, October.
Yeah, everything is dying, Max.
Well, not in L.A. Everything stays the same, always, eternally in L.A. Everything's dying out here.
Yeah, out here.
Are you guys having a good fall out there?
So far, I'm liking it. Jim, the one thing I can't get into is the sun going down early. That I'm not a big fan of. I got to admit. I like the longer days. Like June 21st is like my favorite day of the year.
Ugh, it's so long. It's so much sun and heat and daylight.
It's awesome. I love it.
You guys have an aversion to it out there. We really. People who love the summer really savor the summer when it's around. It's a precious commodity out here.
Well, exactly, and it's relative because out here, of course, because it is pretty much a year-round summer. The actual summer is so long. Where Max and I live, the part of LA that we live about maybe 10, 15 miles apart, but the part of LA we're in is such a hot area.
It's a little bit inland, right? And north of
it's in the San Fernando Valley, and that just for whatever reason it captures the heat, and so it's been nice right now, but I know that we've got hot weather coming this coming weekend for my annual Oktoberfest party. By the way, guys, this is when I wish you guys lived out this way, because I have a big giant.
Oh, it's so great!
What goes on at this party?
Oh my God,
it's so great, Tom. You have no idea. He puts theater into it.
Does he really?
Oh, I build a beer garden and a beer tent.
Nice.
And we do all the, we do bratwurst and sauerkraut, and we've got a call it the Sports House, Haus, of course. to make sure that there's a sports bar going on to catch playoff action. We've got multimedia entertainment stages. It's over the top, guys. I'm sorry you can't be here.
Yeah, Joe, how come you never do stuff like that for me when I come up?
I love fall beers, man. Oktoberfest and pumpkin beers.
Pumpkin beers are great.
We try to do the real deal. We try to make it a true good spirited Oktoberfest.
Adam wears lederhosen, but what's great is he has the biggest giant fucking hair shirt anyway, but he wears a fake lederhosen over his real chest hair that has
t-shirts. It looks like you're wearing.
The t-shirt has chest hair. So it's like, why don't you just cut out the section with the chest hair
and go with the chest hair?
No, it's cartoon chest hair he's wearing.
I'm stepping away from that shirt this year, by the way.
No!
Yeah, I think it's time to retire that shirt.
We gotta hang that in the fucking Max and the Counselor Museum.
It might go up as part of the decor in the yard, actually. Yeah.
Make a scarecrow out of it.
Oh my God! Idea. The counselor scarecrow in the corner of the yard.
That's a great idea.
At the beer tent.
Yeah, you got to put a scarecrow in the beer tent.
Adam, Max always speaks very highly of your chest hair.
It's something, I'm proud of it. I'm very proud of it.
Are you proud of it?
It's controversial, man. It's very controversial.
Is it, Max? Is it groomed?
No.
He doesn't keep it well.
Well, I
wish he would shave it down a little bit because, when I saw him a few weeks ago, I mean, I was so excited to see him. So we go in for the man hug, and because he's taller than me, so my eye level is
right at the chest.
And he's very like, hey man,
like you're buried in his bosom.
Close.
He is. He's very lovable and big, and I don't mean fat, but he's just tall. And hey man, come and you're and you're heading straight towards a bush.
Jesus, Adam, you should listen. You should cut out holes in every shirt that you own and reveal the chest hair.
Oh, I reveal it. I have no shame. No, here's the thing, though. I do trim it, but I don't do it that enough. And so, if you catch me at the a long stretch has gone before any kind of maintenance and any kind of manscaping. Yeah, you're gonna have. There's a display. There is a garden to be.
Adam is definitely not shy about it. He's definitely not shy about his body image. In his pilot, Tom, I don't know if you saw it. He's got his gigantic ass fills up the screen for 10 seconds.
Tom, did you see Starland?
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's hard for me to watch stuff on my computer. Because it doesn't move as well as I'd like it to move. But I'll
send you a DVD if you'd like.
Well,
that would be awesome.
Money on cigarettes and buy a new computer. I've said that 8 times before.
I'll send you a Blu-ray.
Thank you, Adam.
You know what I'd rather do? I'd rather smoke and kill myself than watch my friend's stuff and talk about it on the cutting rooms.
Or edit the show.
Yeah, or edit the fucking
Oh, jeez.
Or exercise. Or
You better move into the movie reviews real
quick.
Max
is doing I forgot what movies there are now. Now I'm all fucked up. He was going to get me eventually. I'm surprised it took this long. Max is going to do Peeping Tom. We are doing the photographic image, of course, Joe Christiana's picks. So let's get Max going. Max, take it away, dude.
He was a Jeffrey until the Hollywood lights fried his brain and he changed his name. Don't mention Jackass or he'll stop blubbering like a girl. Hell, he's the funniest cat on the show. The mad chef himself, Mr. Max, bang on a drum all day, cook.
Sleep aids. For most who struggle with slumber, they are an essential part of the bedtime ritual. You've got your Ambien, of course, your Unisom, Sominex, NyQuil, Z-Quil, and benzos. But lest we not forget some of the more natural remedies: melatonin, valerian root, and even aromatherapy. I spray lavender on my pillows at night. But there is in fact a more cinematic sleep aid solution I'd like to add to this list. namely Michael Powell's 1962 voyeuristic thriller, Peeping Tom. Now, before you get all bent out of shape, listener, consider this. I am not a very bright person. I've admitted this before. It's embarrassing, and not easy for me to come clean with such an assertion of self. I am not an intellectual. I never read Madame Bovary. I don't attend poetry slams. I don't cross my legs when I sip Earl Grey tea, and I don't fucking drink fucking Earl Grey tea. I've been to Europe, but I have yet to want to live in Europe. I don't recognize what I'm told is great art when it slaps me across my face, and I don't wear non-prescription reading glasses. Case in point, attending CalArts Film School was the very worst mistake of my life. My fellow students intimidated the crap out of me with their beards and books and BO and assertions that Bergman was best and only the best. I'm just not that crowd, man. I ain't no heady art film snob like Joseph Christiana or Billy Barassa, who, as we know, is too good to even listen to this goddamn fucking show on a regular basis. Yeah, guys, sorry, not really gonna go out of my way to download a podcast, even when I'm a semi-regular co-host on. Way to take one for the team, William. No, I am simply Max, the stunted, growthy mental midget of the cutting room. A lesser brain, or little brain, as Rip Torn relayed to Albert Brooks in Defending Your Life. What the big brains in heaven call the newly deceased dumb shits behind their backs. Permit me to quote little asthmatic Marty Scorsese, one of the all-time great champions of Peeping Tom. It's what made him want to make movies, this movie. Quote, I have always felt that Peeping Tom and 8.5 say everything that can be said about filmmaking. Well, Martin, I could say the same thing about Goodfellas, Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, The King of Comedy, The Last Temptation of Christ, After Hours, Casino, and Raging Bull. Kundun, Shelter Island, New York, New York, and The Age of Innocence, however, clearly you were more inspired by Powell's ability to make one nod off than keeping an old cement head like me wide awake and repeatedly riveted. Do you hear even my dog is snoring during my review? Did you hear what I said? Quote, the great Martin Scorsese. I have always felt that Peeping Tom and 8.5 say everything that can be said about filmmaking. Wow, I'll be a primate's poop hole. If that is truly so, then I don't even deserve to be renting this movie, much less taking 2 hours out of my life, which felt more like 2 days, to watch it in the comfort of my home via Amazon Instant Video, passing out every 20 minutes and waking up in my own spittle, not knowing where I am or what the fuck was going on. Rewind, 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 no. In fact, I should really be only subjecting myself to the likes of Paul Blart, Mall Cop 2. For I truly believe that is the level of brain power I am currently functioning on. Peeping Tom features a really creepy German dude named Mark, a moving picture photographer who lives with two of the most annoying redheads since Lucille Ball, who was at least lovably irksome. Mark goes around killing murdering hoes with his tripod leg, which also functions as a surprise knife, much like Alex's Kane did in Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. He also has a distorted mirror that he holds up to his victims' faces as they are dying while he shoots them. I fucking love that concept. Pretty unnerving stuff for its time, and think that might be the best idea going on for this entire enterprise. Alas, this film isn't just about killing women. Oh, no, no, no. There's a whole other deep-rooted psychological tale that slowly, and I mean slowly, unwoven here. Turns out Mark's dad was a royally abusive monster who subjected his boy to terrible psychological tortures that fucked him up for life. Oh, that was another scene that drove me crazy. The one where Mark invites the younger redhead, the daughter, to video some of the old films Dad shot of Mark. Mark, I don't understand. What's happening here? I'm trying to process this. Is that you? As the little boy? Is that you, Mark? Yes, my father shot this film. I don't know what I'm looking at. What am I looking at? What is that creature? On your bed. Oh dear. That creature on your bed with the long slimy tail that just leapt at you! Leap and lizards, you stupid cunt! That is a reptile! My pet reptile Stinky! He was my special friend, and I was so terrified of him. My father would make me sleep with him in the night. and he would slither about onto my bed sheets in the dark.
What? I don't understand. Why did he do that to you? What am I watching? I can't process what I'm watching, Mark.
Shut the fuck up, you dopey fire crotch! The guy's trying to show you he's damaged goods! Oh my god. Fucking Joe. Go out the back of my brainstem, Joe. Peeping Tom was such an endurance test. It went so far over my head, I got neck strain from looking up at my ceiling. But that's only because I'm an idiot, and I need it all to be explained to me. Not necessarily the plot or whatever, but why this thing's gone through like 18 versions of Criterion Collection. Poor Joe, I feel bad. He loves these movies. Hey guys, they're so important. He keeps trying to work them into the show, and we continue to suffer as a result of his curating. But why? Why does he do this to us? Is it revenge for Salo? Jackass presents Bad Grandpa alone with her? Or is it just because he's so much smarter than the rest of this crew? I mean, I can't speak for Detloff because he's more of a moke like me, but Adam's a pretty bright guy. Is Joe C. even smarter than Adam? Is it even a contest? I mean, we are dudes after all. Maybe we're competing and I just don't even know it! I think it's because he's trying to broaden our cinematic horizons. Films seem to be the most universal language to Joseph, but more often than not, it seems to be a language I personally just cannot speak, much less decipher, and I require great assist. Listen, I don't want Joe to defend these movies. They're already classics without me pissing on them like the brain-damaged baboon I am. But perhaps he can provide a deeper insight into why he thinks these films warrant their everlasting accolades. Or what I'm more curious to know, how the hell is he never bored to tears by them ever? I'm going to go a step further. I bet Joe reads The New Yorker. I bet he reads The New Yorker, knows an NY Times crossword puzzle. I can barely get through a Highlights magazine hidden pictures piece. Am I Goofus to Joe's Gallant? I just don't think I'm sharp enough to get it. I think I'm a dullard. Unlike Mark's tripod leg knife, I'm a dull knife. I need sharpening, Joe. Help me. Sitting here with your novel deal and puka shell necklace, help me. I'm not grasping Peeping Tom's enduring appeal. I mean, thematically, I should be loving this movie. A lot of sites call this thing a horror film. Look, it's very well shot, almost dreamlike at times. Speaking of dreams, bottom line, Peeping Tom put me to sleep. And even though I kept waking up, I was actually grateful to it for putting me to sleep, because these days I so much prefer sleep to waking life. The one bright spot in this whole experience with Peeping Tom was this email I received just this morning from Amazon Instant Video. Hello. We noticed that you recently experienced poor video playback on Amazon Instant Video. We're sorry for the inconvenience and have issued you a refund for the following rentals. $2.99 Peeping Tom. Hey, maybe that was the problem. Poor video playback. No. Sad face.
Well, Joe, there's some very challenging questions there.
You're right, Max. You're absolutely right.
You're smarter than the rest of us, right? Is that what you're saying?
You know what's funny is that like 20,000 people listened to the what was the one movie that we did? Oh, The Grapes of Wrath, right? It probably almost universally considered a classic film.
Sure.
Almost completely
You're talking about
beloved
on YouTube.
On YouTube. Instead of garnering the respect and the admiration of potentially 20,000 listeners who might have liked the show, we've gotten like probably 100 people like shitting all over us and calling us morons.
Well, it's going to happen again with this.
I know it always
it's
happens.
so funny.
What am I going to say?
I was thinking about that too, because people like when they listen to our Grapes of Wrath show, they get the comments are real nasty. They're very angry. And it was Max. Max did the intro for Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah, we're gonna get it for this.
Oh, we're gonna get it good. But you know what? It's
fine. He's having his own. Look, his reaction is
yeah.
not any different than the critics who saw fit to end Michael Powell's career because they didn't like this film either. So you're in line with critics, Max.
I don't want to
You're in
be in
good
line with
company there.
them. But this time, I admitted I was an idiot. I did that.
Yeah, and then you deflect it, and then whatever. That was like passive aggressive bullshit. Whatever. What are you gonna say? Look, here's the reason why you watch old films, because it gives you a richer understanding of the art form that you love. It's really that simple. If you understand where films are coming from and what caused them or what influenced them, and you trace that back, then the thing that you love so much is you have a greater understanding and a richer understanding of Scorsese. By seeing what he loved, it helps you love what you love even more. I mean, if you understand the world, if art is a way to understand the world, to have a broader and greater understanding of the art that you see the world through, then that means you have a greater understanding of the world around you.
Joe, this is something that you've said a million times on the show, especially when we go back and watch older films. And I totally get it. I get it, and I'm on board with most of your feelings. I really.
And so the thing is that I'm challenging it. Of course I expect Max to have these reactions. I'd love for him to give it a chance once in a while, the same way that I give Bad Grandpa a chance or Alone with Her a chance. Like, I give it a fair shake at least. It seems like Max does like some dumb shtick every time. Like he's gonna like be self-effacing in order to lash out and insult people instead of giving the film a fair shake.
A fair shake? What about that Fellini film I sat through? I gave that a fair shake. I like that movie.
Yeah, he gave that one a fair shake, and he actually came at me a little bit, I remember, for not stepping up and trying to understand those films a bit more. He did. Okay. He defended. I remember that Max came at me. He was like, he told me to look at things differently. Like I remember that. But this,
okay.
I
honestly thought that
I would use this opportunity to do shtick with you. I'm looking at a comment on my Grapes of Wrath review. This is a mockery. This was a fine film for those with the intellect to actually appreciate it. I haven't read these comments.
See, here's the thing with you, Max. I think that you do have a great. I think that you're very smart. I don't think that. I wouldn't waste my time if I didn't think you were smart.
My God, ESC run and rampant. I think you're using it for silly fools, self-important, foul-mouthed morons. No respect. Just do us a favor and say in the title that this is a farce so we don't waste our time. Are we supposed to take this seriously? At best, it's annoying. At worst, it's utter tripe with less talent than a grade school pageant. Infantile.
That should be in the marketing materials for this show.
Made it to 43 seconds, but only because I don't want to spill my coffee reaching for the mouse. What the fuck is this? Self-important, foul-mouthed morons. And you're calling me? You're calling fucking me? The problem?
We're not even foul-mouthed, really. What do they get on?
I try. I do my fucking best, but that's me.
And by the way, Max, Joe, I don't think. Hold on, 1 second, Adam. Max, yeah. I don't think you are stupid at all. I think you have a pretty good.
No, and that's why I think that I think that's why he devolves into like. That's why I suspect that he devolves into shtick, is because I don't think he's unintelligent at all.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, listen, I think
so. I think it's part of like some act that he's trying to play.
Listen, it's not an act. Listen to this one from the Wandering Poet. This is about my Grapes of Wrath of you. Here's an idea. If 2 out of 3 of you like it, don't lead with the vapid, mindless, and facile reviewer who's not funny, not even in a Mark and Brian way. He's entitled to his opinion. I'm entitled never to visit this channel again. Comparing the Griswold's dead aunt to an elderly, disposed woman who died far from home, seeking a better life in a historical-based movie? Startling. The lack of appreciation for history is astonishing. Just not funny. Sorry. Fair disclosure. My family were dust bowlers. Cheerio. You can find the
If his family were Dust Bowlers, I highly doubt
you
he'd
can
be
find the
sounding.
humor in it. The survivors do and did, going on to live their lives. You guys just fail at the and humor. Fuck you! Eat my dick, wandering poet! You fuck! Fuck you!
Max is insulting Dust Bowlers.
I didn't know I was insulting Dust Bowlers. I thought it was a work of studio fiction.
Studio fiction.
Dust Bowlers.
I didn't. Comparing the Griswold's dead aunt to an elderly.
Well, that was my fault because
That's
I
funny.
programmed Vacation and the Grapes of Wrath both as family road trip
Oh
movies.
my god.
Okay, Joe. So that's you doing your fucking shtick.
Yeah, so of course, Max, to answer part B of your assault, is that of course I'm having a little fun with this programming here. So I kind of suspected, and part of the fun is to hear you do your little thing or whatever.
Why
I
are
mean,
you cracking my nuts about it?
it does well because you're lashing out at me, and it is it is irritating that you can't even see the value of going and watching a film.
That's your challenge, Joe. That's
Okay, let me ask you something. You really
This is great.
wait. Let me ask you something, Max. You really love comic books, right? Like that's your thing, right? That's your art form. Whatever, comic drawing. You love
comic books.
Yeah,
well, he does.
books. You don't sit around jerking off the Batman. What are you out of your mind?
Come on, this guy. Do you or do you not? Are you a comic artist?
Books?
Are you a comic artist?
No, I like underground comics. I like Harvey Pekar and
Okay,
Crumb.
so are those not comic books? Are you fucking out of your mind? Are they comic books?
Comic books. I think about grown men running around in tights. Superheroes.
All right, so I'm obviously this.
All
we're
right,
not
so
even
go
in
on.
a rational
Comic books,
conversation.
yeah.
Do you have no appreciation for going back and looking at like the original, like old Superman comic books, the old Stan Lees, and like or from the 30s and 40s?
When I was a child, it was all right to look at. I mean, I'm reading an Archie Digest right now.
Do you like to see how Harvey Pekar and what's the Crumb what they were looking at?
They were
what they
coming
were
up in the fucking early 70s together, doing their thing together.
Okay, so you've looked into Crumb. See, I take it that you've seen Ghost World. You've liked the Harry.
Ghost World is one of my soul movies. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the point?
Do you appreciate going and look after you saw those documentaries and that movie? Did you go and investigate a little bit further into some of the stuff that they were looking at, some of the references that they were using to come up with their own work?
What are you saying? Like what the things that inspired him?
You know what I'm saying, Max. Come on.
I don't know. What did I go listen to the old timey jazz that Art Crumb likes? No.
Did you look at the artists that they were looking at when they were
Bruegel.
in their
I looked
formative?
at Bruegel. Okay, I looked at Bruegel. Crosshatch. Okay, yeah, I appreciated it.
Okay. Okay.
That's a whole different medium, Joe, than movies.
Of course, but it's an art form.
Okay.
Of course, I know it's a different medium, but that's what this is about. If we're here on a movie talk show, and if we're theoretically or ostensibly talking about movies, that just the same way that if we were talking about Crumb and Pekar, we would eventually talk about Bruegel. Oh, Bruegel. Max Cook likes Bruegel. Pass me the Grey Poupon. He's such a pretentious fuck. Right?
That's a terrible
that's
accent,
what we're talking
Joe.
about here, right?
I don't know what regionalism you're from, Joe. So New Start 49.
Grey Poupon reference.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about.
New Start 49.
The point is that if we were talking about comic book art and we were reviewing the work of Pekar and Crumb, we would eventually talk about Bruegel.
So you're hurt that I.
And you would expect some,
Joe.
But wait, you would also expect some modicum of respect and somebody to give Bruegel a chance because he influenced some of your favorite artists. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that is fair to say.
All
but
right.
you're saying, are you saying?
So
I'm
then
taking
all
a
of this
shit
is
on
so because you don't like the movie. You've basically inhibited us from talking about the movie. What is it?
How the fuck
20
have I
minutes into the
inhibited you?
recording now? So 20 minutes into the recording now, we can't even talk about the movie.
Who's saying
We
you
haven't
can't
even
talk
talked
about
about the film.
Joe, what are you talking about? That's
because we need to address all of the shrapnel that's laying around the room.
Shrapnel? You asked me
Listen.
my feeling on the fucking movie. I gave my
Hold
feeling.
Joe, in defense of your position on this, and Max, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about because I sent you this. My sister Rachel, who's a college student at Lehigh University, she's a horror movie junkie, and she's actually like taking a Dexter class on the show Dexter, and she contributes to a blog on horror movies, and she wrote an entire piece defending the remakes of horror films from the perspective of that someone from her generation sometimes, if you're comparing, let's say, the original Halloween to Rob Zombie's remake, that just the way movies are made now and the editing and the pacing and the blood and the violence and the gore that her generation at 21 years old is used to and expects in a movie, she was defending that. However, at the same time, she said she appreciates the genre of horror so much that she also can go back and look at the original Halloween. And even though she may not enjoy the experience of watching the movie as much as the remake, it's, she said it, I think her actual quote was something along the lines of, if she wants to go back and appreciate and help to understand the roots or the inspiration for the genre as it is today that she loves so much, she'll go back and she'll watch those films and will appreciate those films for that, even though they're not her go-to films. And I think, Joe, that's kind of what you're saying, is that even though that may not be your go-to movie, it may not be the kind of thing that you would choose to watch, that there's something there that inspired someone that you do enjoy and that you do watch. And sometimes it's interesting just to go back and look at how things have evolved over time and how things have changed in filmmaking.
I'll even go one further than that, Adam, is that if more filmmakers would spend the time to actually learn about the craft and where their art form originated and how it developed over the years, we'd have a lot better films coming out on a weekly basis than there are right now.
That may be true. Absolutely.
Max, Joe is here to teach us.
You're such a dick. Look, you guys can take your populist viewpoints and shove them up your ass. And I don't care if that's the hi-hat or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Mean, Joe, come on, take a deep breath. You're getting mean. No reason.
Matt, Tom, listen, your passive aggressiveness is insulting me.
What?
It's insulting. It's insulting to my intelligence.
I'm insulting your intelligence now.
He's here to teach us. I'm not here to do anything except I'm here ostensibly to have some fun and talk about movies.
And I'm here to entertain people.
Not to teach you.
I'm here
because I already have respect for you, Tom.
Don't tell me I'm insulting your intelligence.
You are insulting my intelligence by thinking that I'm not going to take umbrage with that passive aggressive insult.
Joe,
if you have something to say, Tom, come out and say it.
Between you and Max right now, and I'm playing into it as an entertainer. Okay, that's what I do. I'm not trying to insult you, Joe.
But you did insult me.
Well, I'm sorry.
You act like you made the fucking movie.
Well, no. Look, you guys got me all worked up. Look, if you're gonna lash out on me, if you're gonna lash out on me, you gotta expect me to come.
Lashed out.
Are you? Listen, I didn't write the review. If you want to send me the text of your review, there, I'll pull out the insults.
Insults. What? How did I insult you, Joe? From memory, the New York Times crossword puzzle. Wait, you're not allowed to have.
Listen, again, your review passed by quickly. I can't quote it.
Because you weren't listening to it. I didn't insult you in the review. I ain't no heady art film snob like Joseph Christiana.
I think I made my point.
Oh, and now you're done? Now you're done? You're not going to continue on because
Because I can't quote your review, Max.
Because you didn't fucking listen to it.
Oh, come on.
Because you shouldn't be
I don't have a photographic memory.
No, you shouldn't be this insulted by what I said. I didn't say anything disparaging against you. Film snob like Joseph Christiana. I said that clearly you are the intellectual of the show. Is that not true?
And with the passive aggressiveness
I'm not
in
being
that
passive
statement
aggressive.
is
That's
so
Tom.
ugly,
That
Max.
is Tom's
Come on,
deal.
man. Come
No,
on.
you're fucking
Come
out of
on.
touch.
Dude,
That's
come on.
Tom's deal, Joe. I am
Seriously,
not a
Max.
passive
Max,
aggressive.
come on.
Adam,
You're gonna
am I a passive aggressive guy? Honestly. He's so much smarter than the rest of this crew.
Adam, do you honest opinion, is Max passive aggressive?
I don't honestly. I don't think in this situation he was meaning to be passive aggressive at all, and is you know. I really don't. I don't believe in anything.
This is a guy who's known me longer than any of you. I'm being as genuine.
And I submit an apology. I submit a formal apology.
You're being a dick, Joe. You're being a dick this time. I'm not being fucking passive aggressive with you. Because he's trying to broaden our cinematic horizons. I'm trying to understand why this movie's supposed to be so amazing. It is already amazing, Joe. I said that in my review. It's already a classic. There's nothing I can do to change that. People, if they hear this, they're going to react to me like they did on the fucking Grapes of Wrath and say, you do not have the intellectual appreciation. Fuck you. I don't care what they fucking think about me. They can eat my fucking shit. I'm not good enough for them. That's fine. You happen to be a fucking friend. So, if you want to tell me why I should be loving this fucking movie so much and coming all over it, then you need to explain it to me, because I fell asleep!
Well said.
Jeez Louise. Why does this always happen on shows that you curate, Joe? Never happens on anybody else's shows. Every time you do this, it's a disaster.
This guy, Tom. Am I wrong?
I don't think so. I think that you had some valid points. I think you were trying to understand why Joe, what Joe sees in the movie, why he would consider it a classic. I feel the same way as Max. I just don't. I didn't. I mean, I don't want to say I didn't get it. I'm not understanding why this is held in such esteem to certain, like to people like Martin Scorsese.
Martin
I
Scorsese
really
makes better films than Michael Powell, Joe.
Of course he does. Way better. It's not even a comparison.
And yet this is the testament to filmmaking to Scorsese.
It's true, and I don't understand. Like, I'm watching the movie, and I watched the opening scene, and I thought, I was understand. I knew he was trying to do something different. I mean, the POV of the killer, all this, all kinds of, just the lighting and the dreamlike atmosphere. It was intriguing, but it didn't follow through on anything powerful enough for me to consider this a classic. And I know people love this movie. People are insane about this movie. I mean, it's talked about on all fucking podcasts. All horror podcasts always talking about this fucking movie. I just don't see it, Joe. I mean, that's and I understand your point of just learning.
Listen, here's
we
the
are
point.
asking for your help, Joe.
I think I answered the question. Listen, I think I answered the question why it's valuable to talk about old films. I think I addressed that. You guys can either accept it or
but I already
you don't have to accept it. It's your opinion that you can't. If you don't like the movie, that's fine.
It is.
I'm not gonna sit here and be insulted though.
But I want to know you haven't.
And second of all, I think I've addressed why I feel like it's valuable to watch old films.
I understand all that. We've gone through that a million times.
Okay.
What I am trying to understand is you assigned this movie, and you obviously either feel that it's not a classic or it is a classic. You wanted opinions. You wanted to see how we would react to it. We're trying to understand your reaction to it and how.
Yeah, and you haven't given it yet, Joe.
You haven't done.
You assigned the movie, and you're mad at us for reacting to your assignment and taking it personal. When we're trying to learn from you, you keep saying that we're fucking insulting you. I am not insulting you. I'm trying to learn and understand, and you still haven't said shit about why we should be loving it so much. Not just you should be watching old movies.
Yeah. What is Powell doing that excites you here, Joe?
For you personally.
I don't know.
I don't know.
No, I don't. I don't know.
Wait, you know what? Joe, do you consider this movie a classic?
Yeah, maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
Are we going to really talk about the movie now?
Joe, we've been trying to talk about the movie. Max, Joe is here to teach us.
Do you think that it is a classic? I'm genuinely asking. Do you?
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, a classic is anything to me that was made earlier than 20 years ago, I think, by some definitions. I think that it's a groundbreaking film, obviously. I think it's an important film for a multitude of reasons. Um, so I mean, just the fact. Well, I mean, just to start with, we have an anti-hero, right? So just like you brought up in your review there, Max, is that Scorsese appreciates this film, and if you'll notice, Scorsese is always has anti-heroes in his films. Main characters
Do you
who
see art
are
as an anti-hero?
Oh,
yes,
sure. I think it's one of the. I can't believe it for 1960 that it was a movie that was featuring the main character from his point of view, and
right.
and almost
So
making him sympathetic, even though he is
so
a killer.
prior to this, you
I
have
didn't have that.
heroes who are always acting on the consensus of popular morality,
Yeah,
and here you don't have that, which is integral in the genre that you love, Max, including Halloween, which we were just talking about. You know, so many characters, especially uh, these days. It's only now, you know, as we come now where we start feeling sympathetic toward people who are killers and murderers. So, I mean, that is groundbreaking stuff right there.
And you could
The
say, Joe,
fact that this,
you could say, Joe, that this movie, you know, and just a couple years later when Hitchcock did Psycho, I mean, that premise is used in Psycho, where you tried to understand the man behind the murdering, and you
in a
almost
sense,
felt
but this one,
sympathy for him.
Psycho was released in the same year as this, actually. But the Norman Bates character actually uh, isn't the hero per se in that film as much as he's like you do have a psychological inquiry into Norman Bates's character as you do here.
Hmm.
I don't know. For this film revolves entirely around him, where in Psycho, you at least for the first half, you had the I think her name was Marion
Well, that's what Hitchcock
right.
does
that you
differently.
focus
Yeah,
on.
he
So
does. Yeah, that's Hitchcock being Hitchcock. But yeah, I hear you, Joe.
and it was about the investigation. So here we have as the central character somebody who in any other film would be a villain. You know, the stuff that he was shooting was just not being done at the
Hmm.
time. You know, one of the things that Powell said was, you know, I grew up, the audiences grew up, but films were still in the nursery. So here you again, you have a really important change and progression from really classic cinema of the 50s, where it was very studio oriented, very much driven by popular morality and ethics. And, you know, you have this really gritty looking film about something extremely dark, as dark, if not darker, than any other film. And by the way, very close to Alone with Her. And if you say that Alone with Her is a better film than this, Mags, I mean,
I
it just,
thought
I
that,
don't
Joe, but
know
I'm
how
not going
you
to say
can
it to you.
even I can't even fathom that. But I mean, that's your obviously your opinion, and you're welcome to it.
Joe, did
But
I?
Well, I mean,
Joe, you're
it is
putting words in my.
amazing. In 1960, though, the concept that this house is wired for sound and he's spying, on everyone in the house. I mean, these are like plot devices and things that have been used in horror films ever since. And to me, that was the thing that struck me about this movie was that it just, I couldn't believe it was made in 1960.
So
It just
you were impressed with this, Adam?
well, listen, I did not love this film because for all the
Okay,
reasons. Just it was before my generation. It's hard to the way movies are cut and the pacing and the storytelling
right.
has changed so much. It's hard to appreciate that kind of storytelling. And it's not a horror movie where I'm scared of anything really. However, I thought the filmmaking was exceptionally advanced. I thought the writing was really for a 1960 movie was great. It was funny at times and getting into the psychology of this dude and why he was this villain, I thought uh, was filmmaking I was surprised to see, and I thought unfortunate that it worked against that director because I would have loved to have seen where that director went
Mm.
through the next couple of decades as a filmmaker because I think he might have been a much more influential and well-known pioneer of the genre if it
he
didn't
would have been
backfire. Yeah.
he would have been a huge groundbreaking filmmaker. The films that he made leading up to this are all beautiful, not as avant-garde as this. But he basically got sidelined after this film. If you go on YouTube, you can find a documentary. I forget exactly what it's called, but if you look for Michael Powell documentary, there's a documentary on there where this dude basically does a film autobiography about his work and his film career and what drove him. And this dude was a guy who was obsessed with cinema. So again, here's yet another aspect of why this is such an important film in film history, is that this guy is making a film completely about the obsession of making film and making art, which relates to the other two films that we're talking about as well, but it relates to this guy's personal life. So this guy in 1960, before independent cinema was even thought of, this guy was making a film that was so close to his personal obsessions. I mean, this is a guy about a film maker who basically is obsessed with film. I mean, it's just there's a lot.
The fact you said to me it felt like an independent film in the the heyday of the studio era.
Absolutely, and the film that the guy's making, the studio film that's in there. This guy is just friggin'. And here's where the punk comes into it. He's just biting the hand that feeds him. He's friggin' he's shitting all over the studio system. How ridiculous it is to be shooting movies in a studio. The falsehood and how ridiculous, how just absurd it is.
Those were my favorite scenes. The stuff on set was some funny shit, like really funny stuff.
And not to mention just the voyeurism, which became so huge. Like right around here, Hitchcock was doing it, of course, with Psycho and Rear Window. And this guy was doing it in a way that even surpassed what Hitchcock was doing, because he was taking Freud and using that as the subject matter, and showing it in a way that was just like the psychology became the fetishization of film, and that's why. The fetishization of watching, and that's what would have been nice to have a discussion about. But
oh my God! Why can't we
unfortunately, every time we have to watch a movie, every time we watch a movie on a movie show, every time we watch a movie that was made before 1970, we have to have a long-winded discussion about why we're watching old movies. It's frustrating, Max. That's all. So again, my apologies for expressing my frustration.
Frustrating to you. Stop scheduling old movies with me.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I'm willing to take. That's the price I have to pay. But if I'm gonna sit here pretend, if I'm gonna pretend to be on a movie show that won't talk about movies that aren't made before 1970, I mean, I would be it'd be freaking ridiculous.
Watch this movie again for this show. You
didn't. What?
That was very sinister.
What'd you say?
He didn't even watch this movie again for this show. He saw it years.
I don't even know.
Why are you? It sounds like you're doing an Eric Roberts impersonation.
He hasn't seen this movie. You know what, Joe? I'm going to get you back somehow. Don't worry. Your new Start 49, Joe. This is a mockery. This was a fine film for those with the intellect to actually appreciate it. 5 likes on that comment. On this Grapes of Wrath review, 37,976 views, 27 likes, 58 dislikes because of me. Good! Good, you pretentious fuckholes! Good! Eat my shit!
I love that he's calling all those people pretentious about a film that is basically about the salt of the earth, like people who are freaking scrabbling in dirt and trying and working with their fingers to try and make their
pretentious
bread.
snobs. The lot of them.
I'm Fonda, so you see, and I live in a house in the hills. But don't worry, I'm gonna play a poor guy. So you see, I'm wearing overalls and a newsy cap. See.
A music cap.
C. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap
Joe
up.
still hasn't explained why we should love this film.
Oh,
That's not true.
see, I mean, and then this the other thing that I take exception with is that I got to freaking turn into a lecturer every time we talk about an old
Take
film.
exception to, but perhaps you and William should review these films upon yourselves separately. Separate hours for films made before the 20th century. Joe, you understand that this is a British film, right? You keep talking about how Michael Powell is rebelling against the studio system. This is a British film. The Brits were already rebellious in the 60s. That much I know. And the 50s. Hammer, hello, Dracula, Christopher Lee. That dude was fucking shit up in the late 50s, man. They were already fucking shit up. And you're saying this Powell comes along and changes everything? Yeah, you got nothing.
Nothing. Crickets.
Crickets.
Dogs
I'm
working.
done discussing.
Okay. He wasn't rebelling against the studio system. He was doing nothing interesting with this one.
All right, listen, we're gonna wrap up Peeping Tom, man. I can't take it anymore. we
Moving
need a
on.
fresh start. And the listeners need a fresh start, I think. But listen, I would like everyone who has endured this, especially on YouTube, to please go down into the comment section
Post your bad comments.
and post your obnoxious comments.
You all
Please,
sit there
I
with
love
your
it.
fucking genitalia tucked up your shitholes.
All right, man. Adam Shoulder is up next. He's going to, oh boy.
This gang of roustabouts are cutting up cinema like it's never been cut up before. There's going to be reviews. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be hijinks. And there's going to be a whole lot of cutting in this room. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. Coming at you 128 kilobytes per second.
You're listening to the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Detloff. This is episode 91. We're slowly approaching 100 episodes. Joe Christiana.
Centennial.
Oh my God.
100 times.
It's
Remember when it was like 16
Yeah.
and it seemed like torture?
I remember episode 3 with Max Cook.
That's right.
That's when things began. In a couple minutes, Max is going to introduce Peeping Tom. I'm excited to hear what he has to say. It is a horror film, so let's, it's Joe. It's definitely going to be interesting, but it's an older horror film.
Right. I've given up trying to gauge what Max's impression is.
Right. Well, this is his month, Joe. I mean, we have his Halloween show coming up next week. It starts next week.
It's such a good month, October.
Yeah, everything is dying, Max.
Well, not in L.A. Everything stays the same, always, eternally in L.A. Everything's dying out here. At least.
Yeah, out here.
Are you guys having a good fall out there?
So far, I'm liking it. Jim, the one thing I can't get into is the sun going down early. That I'm not a big fan of. I got to admit. I like the longer days. Like June 21st is like my favorite day of the year.
Ugh.
It's so long. It's so much sun and heat and daylight.
It's awesome. I love it.
You guys have an aversion to it out there. We really, people who love the summer really savor the summer when it's around. It's a precious commodity out here.
Well, exactly. And it's relative because out here, of course, because it is pretty much a year-round summer. The actual summer is so long. Where Max and I live, the part of LA that we live about maybe 10, 15 miles apart, but the part of LA we're in is such a hot area.
To change.
Do you think Max is starting to fit into the show
I think
a little
he's
now?
finding his way. He's definitely finding his way. I didn't know if Max, Joe,
he's starting to feel comfortable, to express himself. He's still a newbie, but
Joe, you were worried that Max wasn't going to stick with us after we left Horror Palace.
I was.
Yeah, you were like, yeah, this
well, Max
you're
is
like,
the horror guy.
Tom, he loves horror. He's not going to want to do this. We're going to lose him. I'm like, nah, Max, he's a trooper. He's going to stick with us. He's still here.
Well, that's why I assigned him a horror film tonight.
He's on the show tonight. I got Joe Christiana, Max Cook, and the counselor, Adam Shoulder. What's up, Adam?
How's it going, Tom?
I am very well, thank you. We're back again doing the photographic image. Last week we did the salt of the earth, as you already know. This week we're going back a little bit in time. We're going back to the 60s, which is going to be a lot of fun, I must say. We're doing Peeping Tom from 1960 and the legendary film Blow Up from 1966. Joe,
I cannot wait to hear what happens with Blow Up.
It's all about the photographic image, Joe.
That's right. The Blow Up is. Well, we'll get to it, man. It's just one of those films I have a. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm gonna get it from time to you guys.
No, it's cartoon chest hair he's wearing.
I'm stepping away from that shirt this year, by the way.
No!
Yeah, I think it's time to retire that shirt.
We gotta hang that in the fucking Max and the Counselor Museum.
It might go up as part of the decor in the yard, actually. Yeah.
Make a scarecrow out of it.
Oh my God!
Idea.
The counselor scarecrow in the corner of the yard.
That's a great idea.
At the beer tent.
Yeah, you got to put a scarecrow in the beer tent.
Adam, Max always speaks very highly of your chest hair.
It's something, I'm proud of it. I'm very proud of it.
Are you proud of it?
It's controversial, man. It's very controversial.
Is it, Max? Is it groomed?
No.
He doesn't keep it well.
Well, I
wish he would shave it down a little bit, because when I saw him a few weeks ago, I was so excited to see him. So we go in for the man hug, and because he's taller than me, so my eye level is
right at the chest.
And he's very like, hey man,
like you're buried in his bosom.
Close.
He is. He's very lovable and big, and I don't mean fat, but he's just tall. And hey man, come, and you're and you're heading straight towards a bush.
Jesus, Adam, you should listen. You should cut out holes in every shirt that you own and reveal the chest hair.
Oh, I reveal it. I have no shame. No, here's the thing, though. I do trim it, but I don't do it that enough. And so, if you catch me at the
a little bit inland, right, and north of
it's in the San Fernando Valley, and it just for whatever reason it captures the heat, and so. It's been nice right now, but I know that we've got hot weather coming this coming weekend for my annual Oktoberfest party, by the way, guys. This is when I wish you guys lived out this way. So I have a big, giant, huge
it's so great.
What goes on at this party?
Oh, my God.
It's so great. Tom, you have no idea. He puts theater into it.
Does he really?
Oh, I build a beer garden and a beer tent.
Nice.
And we do all the, we do bratwurst and sauerkraut, and we've got a call it the Sports House, HAUS, of course, to make sure that there's a sports bar going on to catch playoff action. We've got multimedia entertainment stages. It's over the top, guys. I'm sorry you can't be here.
Yeah, Joe, how come you never do stuff like that for me when I come up?
I love fall beers, man. Oktoberfest and pumpkin beers.
Pumpkin beers are great.
We try to do the real deal. We try to make it a true good spirited Oktoberfest.
Adam wears lederhosen, but what's great is he has the biggest giant fucking hair shirt anyway. But he wears a fake lederhosen over his real chest hair that has
t-shirts. It looks like you're wearing.
The t-shirt has chest hair, so it's like, why don't you just cut out the section with the chest hair
and go with the chest hair?